Welcome to an episode that I'm so excited about. I'm always excited to record, but this one really is extra. I have my good friend Anna Maria Velasquez on the podcast today, and we're going to talk about purpose, passion, and Dharma, which you might be like, what's Dharma? We'll get into it. So, Anna is a soul purpose coach or Dharma coach based in the Bay Area in Northern California. She's a fiance to her high school sweetheart, Gino, and together they've got two fur babies, Chloe and Milo or Milo?
Milo. Yeah.
Milo, like Milo and Otis. Do you remember that
Yes.
movie from the 90s? So, Anna recently launched her own business, which I'm already the biggest fan and proponent of, and I've already been sending clients her way, called Light Oasis, whose mission is to guide those searching for their purpose through self discovery, healing, and achieving inner harmony in order to build a purpose filled business of their own. So, Anna, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. And just to have this conversation is like, wow, this is my job.
This really is your job. And we didn't know each other back then, but both of us were in a network marketing
Yeah.
position, same company years ago. And I think we both just know what it feels like to be in a quote unquote job or, working in a way that's like serves for a time and a purpose, but it doesn't feel like it. It doesn't feel like this is my greater calling in life.
Yes. Yes, exactly. We know that all too well, right? The
Yeah.
forcing, the discomfort, the oh, I don't think this is for me, but I don't know what.
Yeah. So tell us what led you to this work. We want to hear the background of what led you to becoming a coach to help other women find their purpose.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, if you want like the extended version of this and how this synchronicity came into my life, I have a YouTube video on it actually. You can search Acro with Anna um on YouTube and watch that. But shortened version of this is I in my life in 2020, we were all going through something really crazy. I think we could all agree. um and things just were not resonating in my life anymore. I was like, there has to be another way. What I'm feeling about my business, which at that time was network marketing, what I'm feeling about it just doesn't make sense. There has to be more to it. There has to be more purpose to it. I can't just like sit here and yes, I'm helping women feel more beautiful and maybe I'm helping them make a little bit more money, but what's the why behind it? Right? I couldn't get the why. And so at that time in my life, I hired a coach, which you had her on here, is Kelly Brock. And I was like, oh, she's going to help me make this whole social media thing so much easier for me because everyone's going virtual and I'm going to hire her and yada, da, da, da. What I didn't realize is that I was actually going to find myself and I was going to ask myself really hard questions, things that I was trying to avoid and all of that. Right. And then life happened. My mother-in-law passed away suddenly. Gino was in a huge depression in his life, truly. And we didn't really know that at the time. And I was just so dysregulated on the verge of like, or I was actually unable to walk and I was in bed for a week and just paralyzed, just not anywhere near living. And I told myself at that point, I was like, oh, I think that's the first time I consciously had a conversation with God, divine, universe, whatever resonates with your people. And I was like, oh my gosh, please, if I can just walk again, like I promise you, I will go and live in my purpose. I will go and find the way. I will go and make meaning of this. I'll find it. And one thing led to another. And just things fell so effortlessly into my lap. And everything was the next best yes for me. And yeah, the rest is history. If you want to know like the whole story of how, again, you can watch my YouTube video, but it was just incredible.
Wow. Yeah, we can link the YouTube video in the show notes because I want to know more. And I know we don't have time for that today,
Yeah.
but I I love what you said, although I don't love that you were in this place, but just that you felt paralyzed and not anywhere near living. And I just, created a post this week about that, how trauma can stop motion, stop movement. We really freeze, many of us, and our actual fluidity of our body that you see kids doing so naturally, the playing, the dancing, the moving, those listening right now can't see me moving, but fluidity stops and movement stops when trauma hits. And that's when life stops right along with that. I think movement can equate to life, also aside from cases where people have had injuries, right, where they can't move, those are special scenarios. But in general, it's fluidity is a sign of movement and energy going through us. And I think a
Yeah.
lot of us can relate to being in that place of paralysis, life paralysis. And I love that you prayed, please, if I can just walk again, I promise I will go live in my purpose. Actually,
Yes.
what that reminded me of was in high school, I used to pray prayers like that. I was a high jumper for track in high
Oh,
school.
okay.
And I was like, I'd be like, please, God, if I can clear this next height, I promise I'll live for you again. Like, I'd have these barter prayers for God when I was young, and anyway, it just reminded me of that, but I love that what that led to was, in your words, my next best yes. Everything after that was my next best yes, and here you are now helping other women step out of, time in their life and situation where they do feel out of alignment and into figuring out, look, I have these gifts, I have these passions, I have something like a je ne sais quoi drive to do something more with my life. I just have no idea where to start. And
Yeah.
that's exactly where you meet women now and help them figure it out. And I've been able to see it real time with my best friend, Courtney. And it's
Right.
been so exciting. So, Courtney's been on the podcast. Anyone who's followed me knows Courtney is my best friend. If I were to get married again tomorrow, she'd be my maid of honor. And she's just so gifted, so talented, such a survivor, such a fighter, most resilient woman I know. And she's been in a job for years that she goes back and forth between feeling like, okay, I like it. There's parts of it, that I'm grateful for, but she keeps coming back to time and time again. I don't think this is it. I think I'm made for something more. And I remember when she reached out, she's like, Becky, I think I'm ready to invest in my first coach and help me figure out my purpose and what I really want to do with my gifts and passions in life. And I said, Anna. And I pointed her to you. And her husband, Andrew, knows you too. We're all in the same business mastermind together. And so when she asked his opinion separately, hey, do you know what coach I should go to for this? He said Anna. So it was just this, kind of divine wink confirmation that she was meant to be with you. And then
Yes.
seeing this past week her change her Instagram to, the parenting coaching. And I mean, this is what she was bred and made for, in my opinion. But she's
Right.
finally has the confidence and the guidance to step into this, even though it hasn't manifested yet.
Yeah.
She's starting to make those changes and show up as the woman that I know she's going to be, somebody that's on her path and helping so many people in a way that lights her up, that doesn't drain her energy, all of
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
I'm curious, for people listening, what are some maybe signs or indicators that they're not in their purpose? Let's start with that.
Yes. Oh my gosh, this is such a good question. Which, first of all, thank you for like shamelessly plugging the coaching that I'm doing with Courtney. And I'm so glad that you speak so highly of her on a podcast where like everyone that's listening knows that she's your best friend. I love that. I have a bestie who's the exact same way. And so I just love to see it. Um, Telltale signs that you are likely not in your purpose, or you're maybe about to take the leap, or maybe something will fall in your lap, or maybe something will just like reappear because the signs come of what your purpose is. Oftentimes we just bypass them. We're like, oh, that's kind of interesting, but no, not me, right? Or oh no, I can't do that. And so The tool that I really like to bring into my coaching is human design. Human design really, this last year, and really honing in on it and understanding my type, my signature, which is like how I know. I like to think of signature like I sign off on that. I approve that. Yes, this feels good. And you're not self, right? And so what that looks like, you can get a free download of your chart on my website if you want, and it will say everything that you need to know on there, what type you are, not self, signature, and so many other things. But for generators and manifesting generators, if you're very new to human design, you will get this, I promise. um, Generators and manifesting generators, our signature is uh, satisfaction. It's this pure, satisfying energy. Like you can feel it in your gut. Like, oh, you almost can like settle into it and into your body. It's like, oh, that feels amazing, right? On the other side of that, our not self is frustration. And so for me, for example, I was able to, in this last year to year and a half, I would say, I was able to really take down data and just look at this from like a factual point of view. And I started realizing like, okay, this this is giving me satisfaction, talking to people, talking about purpose, learning new things, talking about Dharma, and this is really frustrating for me. At that point, that was my 9 to 5 job, right? And so when you start really looking at things like this, you can kind of start seeing things fall off, or you can start making decisions and choices so that those things can fall off and you could start moving into what is actually in your purpose. Um, for projectors, this looks like success and bitterness. So the signature is success, the not self is bitterness. If you are a projector and you're finding yourself bitter about the job that you have, the people in your life, the friendships that you have, the relationship that you have, that's a sign that maybe things should start changing. Manifestors, this looks like peace and anger. And for reflectors, this looks like surprise and disappointment. And so, whatever five of those you fall, whatever one of those five you fall under, whether it's generator, manifesting generator, reflector, manifestor, projector, again, you can look on the chart on my website. You will be able to take very quick steps into realizing, like, okay, what is my next best yes? Or what
Mm.
isn't?
Yeah, so just so I'm catching what you're dropping, depending on your design, which if this is all new language for you, Anna has a chart that you can, or a link that you can find out what your human design is for yourself. And it takes 2 seconds. I've done it before with Kelly Brock. Kelly Brock was the one that introduced me to it. She's like, "Have you done my human design?" And I was like, "What is that?" She's like, "Oh my God, you have to do it right now." So we did it on the phone together. And then I
Yes.
told her, "I'm a manifesting generator." She goes, "Oh, that's a big deal. This is what this means. This means you're going to be frustrated and out of alignment for the first 30 years of your life. And then you're going to step into your purpose. And then in your 50s, you're going to be like Oprah, like just."
Yes.
And I was like,
On point.
okay. And it's funny because, yeah, I'm a manifesting generator, and you said frustration is their sign that they're out of alignment.
Mhm.
Projectors, bitterness, manifestors, anger, and then reflectors, which is like what, 2% of the
Disappointment.
population?
1% of the population, which is also my fiance. So I'm so lucky.
Really? And so what was theirs? Disappointment?
Disappointment. Yeah.
Are you into Enneagram as well?
I wish I was like deeper into it. I just know my type. That's
What's your
about it.
type?
I'm a type 8.
Type 8, that's right. I knew that about you.
Yeah.
And I was surprised because you're a
Yeah.
very self-aware type 8 and come off very soft. And so people, who are type 8s can come off, very just adversarial sometimes. And I used to be terrified of 8s and like repelled, my energy. And lately I feel like all of my best friends or people around me or that I work with are 8s and I
We're healing, okay?
yes, gravitate towards you. I know at the core,
Yes.
you're just the biggest softies with the biggest heart, and
Literally, yes, but just don't piss us off, and also we'll be very direct in what we need, like, that's it.
yes. So, yeah, so Enneagram is another one, but okay, so you mostly work with my human design, and those are some good signs, right, that you're off, and that's exactly how I felt. It's so funny when Kelly said that to me because I'm like, yeah, pretty spot on. It was age 30,
Mhm.
31, I think, that I stepped out of that previous career. I started working with Kelly. I started building this marriage coaching business. And now I feel like, oh my gosh, this lights me up. I wake up every day, excited to
Yes.
get to do this. And especially when I'm reminded, we were talking about this before we started recording, but this is all about purpose. It all comes back down to purpose. We can get caught up in the analytics, the marketing, the to dos, the da 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 da. And that can be frustrating. But when I remind myself, right, of like, why am I doing this? Who am I serving? What woman can I help today save 10 years of frustration that I
Yes,
experienced in my marriage? Then that's what lights me up. And so I
yeah,
want to ask you kind of high level question. We've said that
yeah,
word a lot at this point, like purpose, dharma. What does
mhm,
that mean to be in your purpose or in your dharma? Are they synonymous? I think that can sound kind of catchy, like a fad or buzzword, right? Like
mhm,
in your purpose. But what actually is that? When you say that, what does that mean to you?
yeah. Oh my gosh, I love this question. So, first and foremost, dharma in Sanskrit, in the most ancient meaning, there's like 16 different meanings of dharma out there. But in the most ancient one, it really just comes down to your soul's purpose. And I kind of am annoyed at how like thrown out there this word is, because people just want, what do women say when they come to me? I just want to know my purpose. I just want to find my purpose. Like, what am I here to do? What am I here, like, what business can I go launch? And your soul's purpose is not just the thing that you go launch. Yes, your business, I like to call it your dharmic business. It's like literally the thing that is so in your purpose and of value. Becky, you are in your dharma. You are in your purpose. And it's the different ways that you do it, right? So you have this podcast that's free. You have communities that you are building and have built. You do have your coaching program that is also paid, and you should be paid for your value and your knowledge and the transformation that you can give to other women. But just because we say purpose doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be something you're paid for. It's a way of life. It's just the way that you are, the way that you be, right? And so everyone has a dharma, yes, but what that actually means is that connection with yourself and how embodied are you in what it is that you're putting out there. This the levels that we kind of go through with this, the dharma evolution. First, you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. You're like, yeah, I'm kind of just like, which for us, that's how it was first 30 years of life, kind of autopilot, kind of just like, it is what it is. This is the job, it has the benefits, or yeah, this feels good. I don't really know anything else. We're kind of just like blah, right? There's just no in that. I don't even know what else to say. Like, there's just no fire in that, right? And then we get to this point where we're like kind of figuring it out. We're like, okay, yeah, this kind of feels good, feels better than the other thing. So I guess I'll go here. Then we start taking action towards that thing, and we're like, "Oh, this kind of feels good. This is kind of my jam. Like, I'm kinda good at it too," right? Then you have your first Dharma experience, and you're like, "Oh, I am so in my purpose. I'm having the conversations. This feels freaking amazing." And then what happens? This is where people fall off, is shifts start taking place. You're like, "Okay, I started this thing. It felt in my purpose. It felt really good, but why am I changing my mind?" And then people fall off. When actually it's just part of the process. It's a part of the evolution of you, right? Of your dharma, of your purpose here in this lifetime. Then with those after those shifts, you start integrating into your life into like, okay, I'm honed in now. This feels good. And that has so many different evolutions of it. That's the next step. Evolution is like this can look, Becky, just like you. You have the podcast, you have the coaching container, you have the coaching with your husband, you have like all these other things in the works and rolling out, and you're just still trying to find more. And then after that, you're kind of at this like blissful stage of being even beyond your dharma. Like it's not even what you do anymore, it's just literally the way of life. There's no, like, practice that you need to go and put out there. There's no way or thing that you need to be. You just are this way, right? So that's kind of the evolution of it. I don't know at this point if I even answered your question, but
You did. No, that was so good and fascinating because now I have even more of an idea of what you take your clients through. But it
Mhm.
reminded me of Courtney after her first call with you, and you kind of did like a blueprint audit on her design and
Yes,
purpose. And she
yes.
called
Thank
me in
you.
tears because she was like, Becky, I'm surrounded by entrepreneurs. I've got you, I've got my husband, like this whole circle of people who are in their purpose through like an entrepreneurial type way, and you were the first person to tell her it doesn't even have to be that. Your dharma might be just being a mom. And she was like, that's all I want to be. I just want to be able to be at home and be present and pour into my children. And she's starting to think of ways she can do that, to help other women too. But you were the first person to help her see it is so much more than a business or something you launch. It is a way of life. It's the way that you be. And anything beyond that could be an extension of your purpose.
100.
But I love that. So,
Can I just say really quick too, is she mentioned, I just wanna be a mom. And for any of your listeners out there right now, Becky, you my goodness, you are not just a mom. There is so much purpose in you being a mother. Like, if you really get down to it, you are a nurturer.
mhm,
You are a person who loves. You are a person who like finds such pure joy and happiness and bliss in caring for another person. That is purposeful. Being a nurturer is purpose work. And so I think for Courtney, especially reframing that and realizing like not just a mom, you want to be a mom, you want to be a mom again. That I think that was just like such a huge shift for her because it opened up more opportunity for her. Like, yeah. And what else could that look like? Right.
mhm.
And now 2 months in, and now she already has like a whole outline of things that she wants to do. It's like incredible. But she just needed someone to look at her and say, that's enough.
Mhm.
That's more than enough.
Mhm.
Right. So,
So good. I just got chills. Yeah, I love it. I love it so much. And I was talking to Sebastian this weekend and I told him, I was like, I hope this isn't like coming from a place of ego or sounds egoic, but I just feel so excited since I've been able to figure out what it feels like and to step onto that path of, like, what you described. I don't know if that was phase 3 or whatever, but it was like, "This is it. This is me in my purpose." And then the
Yeah.
thing that excites me is having seen people in my circle do the same thing since seeing me get out of what was soul draining and frustrating and into what was life-giving and making a huge impact. And to see Courtney stepping into that, to see her husband Andrew, to even see Sebastian, like, and I had this whole list of like, this is wild when it can just take one person to have the courage to lean into this, and then your whole circle around you rises. I'm curious if you've seen that or felt that or just what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I have such chills right now. 100%. That's the point of Dharma, right? That's the point of it all starts with you. It all starts with you. And that's why I'm so passionate about this work because all I have to do is just go work with the one that's ready. And she will dramatically change the world around her. So it starts with you, and then it starts with like your nuclear family or just whoever is at home, because they will start seeing the shifts. And Gino will be the first one to tell you this too. Like and I didn't even know this. We were at a retreat and he just said it. He was like, I was kind of curious. She started being different. She started like, she was just in her office, holed up and, learning new things and talking to me in new ways. And I was like, wow, okay, that's amazing. And he started changing the way that he communicated with me. So then it goes to your extended family, then it moves into your friendships, your communities, and before you know it, you are an imprint on the world.
Mm.
But that's how it starts. It has to start with you first. And so,
Mhm.
yes, absolutely. And of course that feels good, Becky. Like, and even if it was ego, when you were talking with Sebastian, that is in the most healthy way. We all still have ego. We're
Mm.
human. It's not like completely supposed to die off. It's a matter of what kind of relationship can you foster with it? Is it healthy
Mhm.
or unhealthy? Right?
I love that. Yeah, not to demonize ego. We can befriend it, integrate it. It's as long as on we're earth side, right? We need it to stay alive. Even our ego is just what protects us. So I
Yeah.
also love that you said when we step into our purpose, then we can question it. And I think it's interesting because in work, let's say we do step into a new position and we're starting to question if this is for us, we don't typically quit, day
Yeah.
one of having that thought. But
Yeah.
in relationships, I've seen women do this and freak out when they're in a relationship or right in a marriage and they have that question of, should I be in this anymore? I'm feeling frustrated, or I'm feeling bitter, or I'm feeling angry, or whatever. Is this a sign that I should leave? And then women will really panic and go into nervous system dysregulation over that. Whereas yeah, you raised your hand, me too, for those who can't
Yes.
see. And I'm just curious to hear a little bit more about your relationship story because with jobs, we don't necessarily quit right away or think that that's a reason. It's just like, hey, this is interesting. Let's see if this is something that can be changed or adjusted or, if this is a sign because just a thought like that alone doesn't necessarily have to mean everything, but we jump to conclusions a lot. So just curious if you could riff a little on your relationship story.
Absolutely. This relationships are our best teachers, right? And so I mentioned earlier about Gino being a reflector, and he's the in the 1% of the population. And, as a given, relationships are a mirror to us and what we need to heal. And I'm sure you teach this all the time with your people, Becky. And with reflectors, it just takes it like another 3 layers deep. And so I have been with Gino, like you mentioned, since high school. We're high school sweethearts. It's been 14 years next month that we've been together. And so we have grown a lot together. And I was in such a fight or flight response in my relationship for majority of that time. Majority of that time. Once, like, he started acting off a little bit, then I was like, "Okay, I'm ready." I'm like, brace myself, right? I'm ready for impact. I'm ready to go. Um, I I have done, like, a lot of work on, like, codependency and what that looks like for me, and my part of my saboteurs, which if you guys are not, familiar with all of this, I'm sure Becky has resources for all of this. But one of my top saboteurs is hypervigilance, and so just constantly in a state of being hypervigilant to my relationship and all of that, and so it took just like it takes us stepping into our purpose first to affect the people around us, it took me learning about myself first so that I could then go and learn more about my relationship and start feeling more secure in it. Gino never gave me a reason to believe ever in our 14 years to believe that we were unstable. Things that we needed to work on? Absolutely. Absolutely. But never at a place where like, okay, we're done here. It was always me 1 foot out of the door, ready. And a lot of that just has to do with upbringing and all the things that Becky talks about, I'm sure, in her program. But it takes courage. It takes, like I said, you going first and doing the work on yourself so that you can start feeling more secure in you. You like, whatever questions you're looking at, should I stay or should I go? Now I've learned to ask myself, how am I in that relationship with myself? Am I abandoning myself in any way?
Mm,
Am
mhm.
I not giving myself what I need in any way? Am I not communicating or hearing myself? If am I not taking time with myself? And so I've learned in the hardest way to really just bring everything back to me first. And if there is something that I do need to talk about with Gino, now I'm in a more grounded place because now I know, hey, this is how I'm showing up in this. What do you think about it? This is what I'm seeing too. Like, how do you think your relationship is in this? So I know that was a little vague, but um, hopefully that's helpful.
It was. I mean, we could always do another episode just on the relationship piece, but I think that's very relatable. And what
Yes.
I've experienced too, the main thing is we don't have to go jumping into meaning making just when thoughts like that pass through our mind or just when we're
Yes.
noticing frustration or whatever. It could be a matter of, I love that you said just reflecting those exact questions back to ourselves. If we're afraid that he's going to leave us, ask myself, is there any way that I'm leaving myself or abandoning myself or not
Yeah.
listening to myself or what my body is calling for, whether that's rest or, yeah, break or food because I'm hungry right now or
Right.
just stopping going to the bathroom because I have to pee right now. Like even like little things like that. Is there any way that I'm not tuning into me and my body and listening and,
Yeah.
honoring? So, oh gosh, could talk to you for hours, but I'm going to ask one more question while we land this plane. And that is just for women who are listening right now, who are
Mhm.
resonating, who are like, "Oh, damn, this is me." And there's just some indicators that I may not be on this path to alignment right now. Our goal and our heart and our intention, if that's you, is not to freak you out or ever instill any fear or shame of like, "Oh no, I'm bad or on the wrong path or I'm
Yeah.
messed up in any way." It's not that. Take this rather as this supernatural, divine hug and nudge and just even a sign that you are supernaturally supported and listening to this for a reason right now. And maybe this is the beginning of like, yes, this is a turning point or your time to get closer to what your soul was aligned to express itself as.
Yeah.
So that was a long way of saying, Anna, give us some concrete practicals of first baby steps someone can take if this is where they're at.
100%. I would love to leave your audience with a practice. Um, this is essentially what I took Courtney through, and we could just like baby step it here for your audience. And so, like, just take out a piece of paper, write today's date because you will remember it when you're listening to this. And I want you to ask yourself just a few questions. So it's going to be five of them. So, first and foremost, what are some ways that you express yourself? Like, what modalities do you use? Becky, I know that you love yoga and you love, like, you're just all about nervous system regulation. So that's something that you would use, right? Is it dance, reading, journaling, writing, drawing? What kinds of conversations are exciting you right now? And I'm not talking about the like, oh yeah, that's nice. I'm talking about the fire in your belly, the oh, I just need to talk to one person about this and I could talk about it for hours. What are those kinds of conversations? I want you to write down number 3, what obstacles have you been through and overcome? A lot of times a lot of trauma can live in that department, but I want you to know that that is your biggest story. That's your hero's journey, right? And what you can possibly put out into the world. And maybe you're not ready to talk about it just yet, but you're ready to have the conversation with yourself about it. Number 4 is, what do you know you're good at, first and foremost? And what do other people say that you're good at? And then from there, I want you to just look at the commonalities between all and just like journal. Just take some time to really reflect and see, like, okay, this feels good. This is a possibility. You're kind of in that ideation phase, right? Of this could be something. And then I want you to really listen in because there's going to be a list of things that I'm going to say. Um, I just want you to take note of what of these archetypes really speak to you. And so you have the nurturer, the visionary, the artist, the researcher, the entrepreneur, warrior, entertainer, teacher, and activist. And just write down which one of those really resonates with you. And from there, you'll be able to kind of have a lens of what to look at your situation through. So, for instance, if you're the visionary, okay, the obstacles that I've been through, what what is the vision that I have for the future about this? How can I play a part in it? What kind of conversations am I having with people that would move that forward, right? And so this is a really good practice for you if you are just starting out and you want to ground some things. Everything is living in your head and everything is like going crazy right now. You just need it out on paper. And I promise you will find some really cool commonalities there.
That's so cool. I just took notes furiously while you were talking, and I'm actually going to include all those questions in the show notes, as well as I want to make sure I caught it all. Nurturer, visionary, artist, researcher, entrepreneur, warrior, entertainer, teacher, and activist.
Yes, that's right.
Wow. You know
Yes.
why I'm so fast at typing is from the 90s when I had a screen name and we were all obsessed with AIM Instant Messenger.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Real quick, what was your screen name?
I
Your
was going to
first
ask
one
you.
ever.
So, first one ever was Suds in a Bucket 7 from that country song. She left the suds in the bucket and the clothes hanging out on the line.
Yes.
What was yours?
My first one ever was Dolphin Luva 10, LUVA, by the way. Okay.
You beat me. That's amazing.
At
Guys, well, you
Netscape.net
heard
for
it.
anyone that was interested. That like Netscape. Can you believe it?
You heard it from here first, guys. A conversation on Dharma from Dolphin Leva and Suds in a Bucket 7.
Yes.
We hope you enjoyed. And Anna, where can people find you if they want to follow you or get to know more?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Please follow me on Instagram at Grow with Anna. You can also find me on YouTube at Grow with Anna. That will be up and coming to be activated again. Like the first season was done, and then we'll move into the next season with that. And just for your listeners, Becky, I would love for to just gift you. This is the first lesson in my group coaching program, Enough, that Courtney is in. I'd love to gift your audience the first lesson from there, completely free. And this is really for you if you're the woman who is like saying, I know what to do. Why am I not doing it? This is for you if you are an action taker, if you want to find a little bit more harmony in your life. So these are called harmony habits. And I'll send you the link, but it's www.lightoasis.co/harmony dash habits.
Amazing. I will include that for sure. I'm going to snag it myself.
Yes.
Anna, thank you for coming on today. I can't wait to
Thank
chat
you
with
so
you again
much.
more. And I know this is going to impact a lot of people. So appreciate you, girl.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I love you.
Love you too.